In today's Wellness Wednesday, we explore eating disorders, which unfortunately are more common than you might think. In fact, 29 million Americans will be affected by an eating disorder in their lifetime. Isolation and increased anxiety from the pandemic has led to a surge in children and teens with eating disorders. And sadly, it's common to feel fear, shame, and loneliness while navigating an eating disorder. But you don't have to be alone on this journey. For more on this, we're joined by the VP of Medical Care at Equip Health, Dr. Jennifer Durain. Doctor, thanks for being here this morning.
Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. So when it comes to modern eating disorders, how common would you say they are? Because we think about, we see these in movies, television shows. On that note, what do they look like in real life compared to that as well?
It's really such a good question. I think in the media, they're typically portrayed as illnesses that are driven by vanity and affect thin, affluent, Caucasian teenage girls, when in reality, we know that they're much more diverse. They affect people across race, sexual orientation, body size, age, and socioeconomic backgrounds, and typically also affect people in larger bodies. So what we see in real life is actually very different from what is typically thought of as the stereotype.
Okay, gotcha. That makes sense. Now, how might eating disorders be different from typical dieting?
Another really great question. I think eating disorders become problematic when they start to take on a life of their own, and when they start to affect people across domains of life. So, typical dieting, someone might be restricting certain foods, they might be exercising more, but they're not avoiding events where they are expected to eat food with other people. They are not impacted in terms of their ability to attend school or to work effectively. Their relationships don't suffer. So when these behaviors start to get out of control and really start to interfere with life across domains, that's when we start to worry that they've crossed into this eating disorder territory.
Okay, gotcha. And I think you just partially answered my next question, but I think this might be the most important question. What would you say are some of the warning signs of an eating disorder?
Yeah, especially important for parents or loved ones who might be concerned. But if someone starts to restrict foods that they previously enjoyed, they're exercising excessively, they're frequently spending large amounts of time in the bathroom after meals and snacks, have really extensive, picky, or selective eating that is not getting better over time. And if they start to isolate or spend more time alone, they seem more depressed or anxious. Those are all signs that someone really might be struggling and may need some additional help.
Okay, and this next question might seem a little self-explanatory, but of course, during the pandemic, the National Eating Disorders Association reported there was a 70% surge in eating disorders among adolescents specifically. So why are we seeing that spike in the rates of children and young people with eating disorders?
That's the bazillion-dollar question right now, impacting all of us in the field. But I think a big piece of it is that the pandemic was really disruptive to all of us, and particularly to kids and teens. They weren't able to go to school. They weren't able to see their friends. They weren't able to participate in the activities that they were used to doing on a daily basis. That, coupled with this explosion in social media, meant that people were kind of bombarded with tips and tricks as to how to avoid the COVID-19, how to stay in shape, how to get in shape. And I think all of that together really contributed to a rise in symptoms. People feeling out of control and having a lot of uncertainty in their lives, coupled with this increased focus on looking a certain way or eating a certain way.
I gotcha. Okay, and we're just about out of time, unfortunately. So quickly, if is there a place that people can go or visit or just find more information about this and how to find help?
Yeah, it's really important for people to have access to evidence-based treatments, and locally for Regents Blue Shield members of Idaho, they've actually partnered with Equip for access to virtual evidence-based treatment for members age 6 to 24. So meeting with a therapist, a dietitian, other team members who really can help assess the situation and get you on the road to recovery.
Awesome. Great tips there. All right. Joining me this morning has been VP of Medical Care at Equip Health, Dr. Jennifer Durain. Thank you so much for being here today and the wonderful tips.
Thank you so much.